As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani releasing that video, giving his soon-to-be constituents tips on resisting ICE agents. His how-to comes after rioters tried to interfere with a raid in Chinatown. Social media backlash was swift. One user asking, "Then you ignore laws that you do not like? We should not bother to have borders or immigration laws?" question. Another saying Mamdani was aiding, abetting, and advising criminals, and, quote, "This man is the best gift Democrats have ever handed to the GOP." Former New York City Councilman Joe Borelli warning this is what New York City voters asked for.
This is what sanctuary city policy is going to look like under a radical socialist mayor, where it's not just enough to be a sanctuary city. He's encouraging the constituency, the New Yorkers out there, to actually actively oppose ICE. Not just people, under the investigation of ICE, but people just in the streets. He wants them to actively oppose ICE as they execute their lawful duties inside the city of New York.
Paul, he literally says, stand up to ICE.
Yeah.
That can be interpreted in a myriad ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of internal conflicts, even in that little public service announcement that he did. For instance, if ICE comes with a judicial warrant, you think the protesters who were fighting with ICE and the police are going to say, hey, they got judicial warrants, let's back off? That's not going to happen. Of course they're not. And here's the thing. They put forward this idea that, we're all on board with getting the worst first out. Nobody wants murderers here. According to the reporting in the New York Post, in New York State, we have been harboring 7,000 felony-level violent criminals, attempted murder, rape, sexual assaults, okay? All of whom are deportable, all of whom the New York State system, that's Tisha James, the governor, all the way through the city apparatus, that we have been harboring and keeping out of the ICE system. They shouldn't be here. And all I'm going to say is this, for this is very much a sign of things to come. Holman is not going to stand for this, so we're going to have some conflict. But listen, Mayor Mamdani, if you just cooperate with the worst of the worst, when they get arrested by NYPD, under the rules we have, under the law we have, you can hand them to ICE. They've made a policy decision not to do that. Legally, if they're arrested and they're wanted by ICE, they can do it. Do it, and there won't be a need for sweeps, and you'll save yourself a lot of drama and some very bad optics. It's smart politics. What you just did is dumb politics.
I'm glad that you mentioned the 7,000 illegal immigrants being harbored by New York, you would argue, because they were in the jurisdiction of the police department. They were in jail. Molly, I covered that this weekend, and Claudia Tenney, the congresswoman here from New York, she said they're going after a sheriff, like a member of law enforcement, and then they're releasing these guys onto the streets, the illegal immigrants connected to at least 29 homicides. It's like you're picking the wrong villain here.
Well, it's just fascinating to watch how this mayor-elect talks. He cares more about illegal aliens than he does American citizens. This effort that he is putting into making sure that illegal aliens are in no way at danger of being arrested shows how little he cares for the victims of crimes who are citizens, the way that he muddles the distinction between who's an immigrant, who's a legal citizen or legal resident of this city versus illegal. ICE is going after people who are illegally here in this city. But it just shows such hatred and disdain for people who are victims of illegal aliens. And also, we have the situation here where this mayor-elect said he would follow international law when it comes to arresting Bibi Netanyahu. But he doesn't want to follow his own country's laws on borders and enforcement of the same.
And it's why people need to be careful with the mayor, because look, he puts on the shiny smile, he goes to the Oval Office, he's kumbaya with President Trump, and then days later, this is December 1st, he said this on his social media.
When I met with the president, I made very clear that these kinds of raids are cruel and inhumane, that they are raids that do nothing to serve the interests of public safety, and that my responsibility is to be the mayor to each and every person that calls this city their home. And that includes millions of immigrants, of which I am one.
I mean, Dr. Sapphire, he has clear plans, and he's beginning on them now. He's not even inaugurated yet.
You know, elected officials telling migrants to evade federal law enforcement, this is not compassion. This is obstruction of the federal agency. And if a private citizen did it, we would be arrested for aiding and abetting a criminal. But what this is, my biggest concern here is this is dangerous. 1 in 6 kids here in New York City live in a mixed status household. So by telling these migrants to now evade or essentially be combative with ICE officials, you're putting those kids at risk, you're putting the migrants, their families, and any of their surrounding neighbors, but you're also putting those ICE agents at risk. So these people need to be held accountable for their words coming out because they're eliciting violence here. And one question I have that kind of goes to what Paul was just saying is New York State and New York PD, they do not release crime statistics based on immigration status. So we rely on media reports. And the media reported last year 3,200 migrants in shelters arrested 4,900 times and were not deported. And I don't really understand that. And yes, I want to be clear. If you look at overall crime statistics, migrant crime is actually less than the national average. However, being here is a privilege. Being here legally is a privilege. If you're here illegally, you need to come back the legal channels. And even if you are here legally, if you're committing crimes, you should be deported.
For sure. And, you know, Harris, as I look at his video, he does say, do not impede, resist, or run. So he makes clear he's not calling for any sort of violence, but you did an entire video that casts ICE as if they are the foe.
Look, that was kind of like the disclaimer at the end of the drug commercials. You know, it's telling you all the shiny objects that you need to kind of be attracted to maybe finding that as a route for your medical health. But then at the end, all these other things, and the list is much longer. He does that because it's legally required. He is a chameleon. I mean, we're watching him promise to give away free stuff and then charge a bar at his victory party because he's out of cash, but he's a rich guy. His wedding in Uganda was like more than, he was like a Kardashian. Like, so of course he's going to say at this point, and notice the word slip on this, he doesn't say illegal aliens. He says immigrant.
Right.
He doesn't say they're illegal, even though he knows that among them is that number of that mixed family, those who are here legally and those who are here illegally, all mixed in, which is why some of the time migrants are the first victims of the crimes that illegals wage because they've got their hands right in their houses. He's not really telling the truth on this. He's not coming transparent with what we're dealing with in the city in terms of who's committing crimes, the worst of the worst. The upwards of 40,000 here illegally at one point under the Biden administration in this city. Do you remember that?
Yep, of course.
We reported that. He's not talking about that. He wants to lump them all together because the immigrants voted for him. He doesn't want you to know that there are, you know, dangerous illegals among them. He's word slipping.
Yeah, but we will follow it as Inauguration Day approaches. Mayor Mamdani, coming your way.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.